Hi, this is Marty Kurtz, 2011 President of the Financial Planning Association. And like to talk a little bit about fiduciary duties and where they lead us. You know, fiduciary really has a purpose over and above just itself. And that is fiduciary standards of care lead us to another discussion. They lead us up to our virtues. On this screen are three organizations that have formed the coalition. There's the Financial Planning Association, the CFP Board, and NAPFA. All three centered at the heart of financial planning, all three having extremely similar codes of ethics. As a matter of fact, as you look at it, what you'll see is the Financial Planning Association and CFP Board have exactly the same code of ethics. And when we look at NAPFA's code of ethics, we see it is extremely similar. As a matter of fact, when we read the words, it is the same. They've just put them in a little different order. That's why those three organizations can get along so well. We have the same aspirational virtues that we're using the fiduciary standard to take us to, that vehicle to drive us up into that discussion about how do we live up to these virtues. Here's another three organizations, very similar codes of ethics, virtues that they want their members to live up to. Now, there's different realms of virtue. As we see, integrity is used in all six organizations' discussions. Integrity is that virtue that says, well, we're not quite as concerned about what your opinions are, but the process that you used, the way you held yourself, the way you lived up to what you said you would do, lived up to your own words, you had integrity. That means you stood behind who you were. That is one of the key things that's involved in a fiduciary standard, living up to the word that you say. Words matter. Next, we're going to look at some other realms of virtue, being moral, ethical, and legal. Now, these are normative realms. These do have opinions, cultural decisions in them. And if we look at this next slide, we see that in these realms, they come from different places. Moral is the social realm, and society is developing what our morals are. And the ethical decisions come through our professions or groups to develop virtues that say this is what needs to happen in our organizations or in our professions. And the third group are the legal virtues that come from a governmental domain. They're legislated out in laws that are passed in the countries or organizations. Our advocacy efforts have been working on trying to get the virtues that we desire, those aspirations that we have, into the governmental realm, the legal realm. But what we have to realize is they're just as important in our ethical realm. And this is where we can really make a difference in the world. Now, some organizations have a standard of care, some have a standard of conduct. But both are the same. Both are detailing those aspirational virtues that we need to have, that fiduciary drives us to, that battle where we can decide what's the right or wrong thing to do in these circumstances according to our social, moral, and legal obligations. But virtues do even more than that. If we take the fiduciary process, the fiduciary standard way, up to our aspirational virtues, where we're fighting this battle within us, this one thing we control, which is ourselves. If we're fighting that battle inside of us and we win, we're going to come out with a life reflecting our values. And that's where we want to be. That's what this is all about. It's not about a legal standard that a government puts on top of us and says you have to comply to this. This is about how do we live a more full life? How do we live our values and have a better, high-quality life? I think that's what we need to keep in mind when we think about our standard of care. Thank you.